Again, live on the beautiful Mississippi Gulf Coast at the Gulfport Luxury RV Resort. What an incredible place this is, and a beautiful view of the Gulf of Mexico. Man, it's awfully enticing out there today. We welcome now the senator representing District 51, serves as the chair of the Elections Committee, vice chair, Ports and Marine Resources. That would be Jeremy England. Thanks for coming on, Senator.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Gerard. Glad to be here. Good
to see you. So we've been treated today to a couple of your cohorts as well, one from the House, one from the Senate as well.
That's
Joel
right.
Carter, Greg Haney representing this area. You, of course, from District 51, that's Jackson County, to our east. And those other folks, of course, Harrison County. Mm-hmm. But we have a good delegation from the coast in the legislature.
We really do. And I listened to those guys on the way over here this morning. And every time I hear them talk and every time we visit in the Capitol, I'm just reminded of how fortunate we are here on the coast to have such good legislators in Jackson. And look, that also plays in with how good of local leadership we have. You know, my mayors in Jackson County I know over here, and our board of supervisors, we get together well. We try to stay well informed, and we're honored to represent the beautiful Gulf Coast.
Yeah, and you know it's a little unique, I would say, Senator, in that the three coastal counties they're separate, but they do collaborate quite a bit, and especially from a tourism perspective, which I think is really a good idea when that came together several years ago, promoting the coast through a single entity. Has paid dividends.
That's right. You know, the one coast idea from Jackson County over to Hancock County, and then between the bridges you hear, which folks are, of course, talking about the Bay St. Louis Bridge over to Ocean Springs Bridge. We all do the same. And what I love is we talk about when folks come visit, you know, they may start in Bay St. Louis and they hear about what's going on over in Ocean Springs. And so they extend their visit by a day or two. And they'll go over there and go to the Walter Anderson Museum or go to the Sound and hear a concert over in Goche or something like that. And it's just, we all work so well together. And the thing I love about tourism, and when we get a tourism update, is how much return on investment we get from the money we spend in Mississippi on tourism dollars and getting people here. This event, Cruising the Coast, I mean, this is what Mayor Billy Knight over Moss Point, I think he calls it a Christmas event. You know, our local businesses pay for Christmas whenever these type of events come. So we love having them down here.
Yeah, it truly is incredible. We were informed yesterday by Woody Bailey, of course, the executive director of Cruising the Coast, does a fantastic job. He and his team and a bunch of other people. He said it's about $33 million of economic impact, measurable economic impact. Cruising is to the coast, about $36 million to the state overall. You probably heard me reading the latest report from the governor's office about the economic impact of tourism overall in our state. Record-breaking year in 2023. I think we're likely to see that exceeded again.
I think so, and really, we're here to talk about the coast, and love having you guys down here today. But really everywhere, you know, Jackson's doing a lot. Tupelo, DeSoto County, the Delta, which is just kind of a hidden gem in its own. There, the blues capital of the world, essentially. We really every dollar we invest in tourism, we get so much back out of it. And you look here, you can look at the cars here. They're from Alabama, Louisiana, Tennessee, Arkansas, and I know we've got some from other places, but those are our sweet spots. You know, we're not bringing people in from New York and Wyoming as much, but our sister states love to come here to Mississippi and to the Gulf Coast and spend some time with us.
Yeah, that really is fantastic. All right, so we're within about 90 days, I guess, almost 90 days to the day. I haven't seen the exact date you guys will be gaveling in, but it's always, of course, right after the new year. Hard to believe you'll be back in Jackson once again. Now, where you park your RV when you stay in town, it's not quite as luxurious as this one is.
It is not. This Gulfport Luxury RV Park is nice.
It's incredible.
I think Andy Gibson, if he would put us a lazy river in at the fairgrounds, we could claim to be a lot better off. But look, I love parking there and serving out there. But this is definitely nicer than the fairgrounds in Jackson.
Quite an asset to the entire Mississippi Gulf Coast. This RV park is.
It is. We rode down here.
RV Resort. Let me correct myself. Yeah,
that's right. And there is a difference.
There's
right?
a total difference.
We were riding here for a friend of mine, Jennifer Branding, had an event down here. She's running for Supreme Court, as you know, and we were over here visiting. My wife and I drove by this, and we said, we've got to come over here and have a staycation.
Yeah.
and park the camper over here for a while.
No doubt. Yeah. All right, so what are your priorities in the upcoming legislative session? What are you going to be focused on?
Well, so we're going to take another run at campaign finance this year. Last year that was a big priority for Lieutenant Governor Hoseman, Secretary of State Watson, Attorney General Lynn Fitch. They've all got ideas when it comes to that. And last year we put this big omnibus bill together and ran it through. This year we're going to try to chip away at that. We're going to have several smaller bills to look at that. I may make another run at this in-person early voting idea that we brought up last year. I think that's a popular idea when it's presented correctly, and I think our bill presents it correctly. And that's my party. That's Republicans tend to twinge when we hear early voting, but when you hear in-person early voting and you understand what it's about, I think it's a more popular idea, especially with your hard-working folks. Like I represent over here, people that work at Ingalls and work at Chevron. They may live in Stone County or Greene County, and they've got to get back on Election Day in time to vote. This would give them 15 days to get there, show their ID, show their valid ID, and cast a ballot just like they would on Election Day, and not have to worry about it, with whether the weather's bad or whether the kids have dance or soccer practice on Election Day. And it's just so important for us to vote. And of course, I'm talking about these things because I'm elections chairman,
right.
Which the Lieutenant Governor appointed me to last year. And Gerard, elections are so important in a state like Mississippi. They're important everywhere, but we've had so many things happen in our history that we have to look at things. I'm going to get maybe some criticism from the right and from the left if I'm going to deal with elections. And I've got to find that middle ground to get us to where we have safe, secure elections. Secretary of State Michael Watson's doing a great job in that spot. That's one of his key focuses. And we've just got to make sure that we keep our elections secure, but also accessible, and that we get our voter turnout up.
Lots of concerns voiced in this election cycle. I know you've seen them about non-citizens that are registering to vote, even casting ballots. Of course, in this country, it's not legal for a non-citizen to vote in a federal election.
That's right.
But you're familiar with the voting application form that can be done by mail, can be mailed in, filled out, mailed in, completed. It goes through the system in the county where that happens, where the person resides. But all one has to do is just check some boxes and sign their name and say, yeah, I'm testifying that I'm an American citizen and I meet these other criteria. Do we need to kind of beef that up some?
Look, I think we do, Gerard. I know Arizona just had a bill that they passed, and it made it through. I believe it made it through the Supreme Court, so it's past scrutiny now. And I want to look and see what they did to beat that, because they have obviously a larger issue with that.
Yes,
being a border state, we're pretty close on it. But the thing that people need to understand about elections, even if you don't have illegals voting all the time, but if you get one and that gets publicized, the entire integrity of the entire election gets thrown out. So that's why we have to be so secure and really look at this. And Mississippi has a bad reputation of restricting elections, and I hate that word, that we restrict elections. We just make sure that we have secure elections, and that is something I'm going to look at what Arizona's done. I'm going to meet with the Secretary of State and see what ideas they have, because we do need to make sure that only citizens are voting in our federal elections, and especially here in Mississippi.
Well, more importantly, registering to vote. That's where it's got to start.
That's
right?
correct.
And of course, the federal government tried to pass the SAVE Act, couldn't get that through, even the House. And, of course, it was DOA in the Senate. And that would have required that upon registering to vote, a person would have to present some sort of documents that authenticated, that validated they're an American citizen. But we could do that at the state level. It sounds like it's passing muster.
We could. We have a SIM system, which is the election security. It's an entire system that when you register, for instance, if I vote in Jackson County and I go try to vote somewhere else, the SIMs will kick me out. Same things if I voted by affidavit, or by absentee. If I vote absentee, it will say in that system, already voted. And look, I went and served at the polls. Our elections commissioners in Mississippi and our circuit clerks, they're kind of the ground level foundation of us having secure elections. And my elections commissioner over in Jackson County, he called and said, hey, why don't you come work an election?
Yeah.
And I worked that 2020 presidential election, which was busy as it could have been, but we have some fantastic people working those, and I got to see firsthand what happens when you take an ID and do that. And that's been very helpful now as elections chairman, knowing what it's like sitting on the other side of the table when elections happen.
I know you participated in the recent policy summit. We got about a minute and a half left. The recent policy summit conducted by Speaker of the House Jason White.
I did.
You were there. Lots of discussion about potential tax reform. It's going to be taken up again, isn't it?
It is. And look, we always need to be talking about tax reform, in my opinion. But I like what Senator Harkin said. He was on the policy committee with me and on the panel. And he said, look, if we don't do anything next year, we're still cutting taxes in Mississippi because we've passed bills previously that are working towards that. And I know we talk about the income tax. And one point I want to make clear, because I've heard it, and you mentioned it, it's been mentioned by my other legislators that sat here and talked with you today, the grocery tax. Our mutual friend Russell Tino made a good point in an article he wrote. We don't have a grocery tax like to other states. We have a 7% sales tax on groceries, but we do need to help folks because that price has increased a lot.
Yeah.
But we also have core functions of government we've got to do. And look, I saw when I was growing up, Trent Lott he lived in Pascagoula. He had a big sign when he was running one time. I was maybe 10 or 12, and it said at the bottom, transportation, education, and safety. And that's always stuck with me as those are the pillars. We've got to make sure we can do those things.
Senator Jeremy England has been our guest. Appreciate you, Senator.
Hey, really enjoyed it, Gerard. Yeah,
we're coming right back, folks. The Element Wealth Studio at the Gulfport Luxury RV Resort.